What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to break down why NIO is up for the day, why the market did get a bit of a pump, and why on earth the Fed did actually play a big role in that happening. Now the real question is, are we going to continue to explode, or is the market going to see a bit of a pullback? Are we going to get a big bearish reversal now? So I'm going to break down some levels and talk about what you need to watch for and what I do believe is likely to happen, some of the biggest possibilities. I'm also going to break down why tomorrow is going to be another very massive day because we have huge earnings and they will determine whether or not this pump continues or not, in my opinion. Now, before I break anything down, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. Plus, you'll have $0 commission trading with the platform and very, very low margin rates. And you'll also get an additional free stock for simply signing up. And on top of that, if you put in $1,000, you'll get 15 free stocks in total. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 2 weeks. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So guys, tomorrow is going to be a very big day. But before I talk about that, I want to talk about today. What happened today? First off, the Fed raised the terminal funds rate by another 25 basis points. So they did not rug pull us with 50. They gave us a 25 basis point hike. Then Jerome Powell started speaking. Some of the things he said were hawkish, other things were actually dovish, and overall the market responded very positively, but he did end up taking a more, I would say maybe a more dovish stance overall in a way, based off some of the things he said. And he basically said the fact that right now the labor market is still strong and there is pain to come. The Fed raised the terminal rate, but don't expect any cuts in 2023. He was a little bit dovish in some ways, talking about the fact that the Fed is near. There's actually no clarity about whether or not they're near the end of their cycle, but there's a lot of progress that has been made, and he said the markets should actually react to that. He also mentioned the fact that there's going to be some nice growth in 2023, and he basically implied there might not even be a dictionary definition recession based off like 2 consecutive negative GDP quarters. He said that might not even happen, and he said a soft landing is very possible. He also said there is a possibility, even though he can't promise it, that the federal funds rate could stay below 5%. Once again, no guarantee though, and they are actually planning on more hikes to come. There is still going to be tightening, and there's still lots of work to be done. So some of the things he said were hawkish. He said that there is a disinflationary process that just started, and many other things like that. So the market responded positively to some of these things that he said. Many people did not expect this. Now, remember, as awesome as that was, we have important economic data coming out on Friday, and then we also have earnings coming out. And tomorrow is going to be a huge day for earnings. We have Apple, Amazon, Ford, and Alphabet. In my opinion, okay, I want to note that if the market is about to see bad earnings, this could actually cause the market to come down big time. This will make the market move big time. If the market wants to continue pumping, it's going to be determined by these earnings. I'm just talking about the immediate term. That's why it's so important. If we get strong earnings, NIO could push by Friday to fill this gap, and we could see the market push up. Excuse me, sorry guys. But if we miss on earnings, and let's just say there are no buybacks or things like that, the market could come down and NIO could start filling the gaps to the downside. So what's more likely? I mean, I can't really predict earnings perfectly. Sometimes they're very unpredictable. But SPY did break 410. And I told you guys, if we broke it, then there's a much more likely chance of this thing beginning to push up even higher. Remember when I said that? Now, I did mention that there are also lots of bearish divergences forming. There's a divergence right here. It is still playing out. And I want to note to you guys that these divergences could still continue, but we need confirmation. We need to see this thing reverse like very soon in order for that to happen. And so far, it hasn't happened just yet. There's also this gap up here in this like 420 area. The odds of us filling that gap go up, but I can't promise anything yet because of the fact that the market has to see earnings first. Now, in my previous videos, I did mention that I thought the market would get a pump off FOMC. And I said that this will likely be a fake out pump, but I'm not as fixated on that. I'm ready to be adjusting my stance because if SPY pumped to like 410 and got rejected, well, every time we hit 410, we got big rejections in the past. You guys can see right here, right? I told you if that happened, then there was an increased probability that this would be a fake out and the market would come down. But we broke my target. We actually went above 410. So now there's an increased probability that we might continue to push as the days go on. I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure because it depends on the earnings. Okay, we have to watch that first. If we keep pumping, SPY could go as high as the 419 level, but like I said before, not guaranteed. Now, tomorrow, I mean, we are kind of overbought right now. I want to note that we pushed up very hard in a very short period of time. And when we see the RSI this overbought, okay, we tend to see the market reverse a little bit. So I'm expecting a small pullback tomorrow. Not saying we're crashing. I'm saying we're going to come down a little bit to cool off, maybe get to about 406 or so, 406, 407. And then we could continue or we could break and start coming down, but it's going to depend on the earnings. Okay. So tomorrow I expect a small pullback day. Where we go on Friday is going to depend on earnings. The earnings are going to be after the market close on Thursday, by the way. I forgot to mention that. So what does this all mean for NIO? There are two possible setups. I think that if the market kind of cools off, we do have a possible inverse head and shoulders forming on NIO. NIO might kind of come down tomorrow back to this 11.8 area, kind of trade sideways in a boring manner. And let's just say Apple beats, Amazon beats, and the whole market pumps again. The divergences I mentioned on SPY could still be forming, but they're still forming over and over again. They need more time. That's a possibility. But they still could ultimately lead to the big reversal later on. But I want to note that what could happen is NIO trades sideways tomorrow. I think that's going to happen. I don't think we're going to crash too hard, just a little bit sideways action. And then if Apple and all those companies miss on earnings and the market comes down, then NIO could start tanking, coming all the way back to the low 11s and filling the gaps down there. But if they do very well, then this whole inverse head and shoulders formation could play out. And then NIO could maybe trade sideways tomorrow. And then on Friday, NIO gets a pump up to fill this gap, going back to the higher 12s. That's what I'm seeing as of right now. Like I said, it depends on earnings. So we'll have to wait and see at this point. SPY did make a very strong move. We need confirmation, though. We can't just accept it immediately. We need confirmation first. Remember, there still could be lots of bears lurking around these areas because there are divergences forming. But I'm not guaranteeing anything yet because we did break 410. Very massive resistance we broke. So we have to be very, very careful. There are still divergences forming on the RSI. So I'm just going to be patient, kind of like lay back a little bit, maybe just get in, get out, and look at this massive bearish divergence developing on it. I want to note that if we do continue pushing, that still is possible, and this divergence could still remain if we just keep forming it. But if the market starts coming down tomorrow, and let's just say we get misses on earnings, this could play out and the market could still crash. It's very hard to tell. Either are possible. If we keep pumping, SPY could get to the 418 area to 420 to fill the gap. If not, this could be the top, right? It could be the top depending on earnings. That's what I have for this video. I know it's very hard to predict, but I want to note, be ready for these earnings. They're going to be very important. Anyways, for NIO, just so you guys know, If the market continues to pump, okay, expect a sideways day tomorrow, and then for Friday, NIO could get the gap fill and push to 13.18 to 13.42, or get closer to this zone. If the market ends up coming down because of earnings, expect NIO to trade sideways tomorrow. I do expect a sideways, maybe somewhat red day in the market. And I think that NIO will come down on Friday if it comes out that way. That's what I have for this video. I'm sorry I can't predict anything perfectly just yet, but I do want to note I do anticipate us to come down just a little bit and trade in this zone right here, 11.8 to 12. A little bit sideways price action for NIO for tomorrow is what I'm seeing, and then we will pick a direction on Friday. All right, thank you all for listening. Have a great day. Get ready. Big day tomorrow, one of the biggest days of the year, and peace out.